Usually when we think about meeting someone genuinely life-changing, we expect a very clear, almost cinematic, inciting incident.
Right, the classic meet cute.
Exactly. Like,
Right.
you picture dropping your books in a crowded hallway, and a stranger stops to help you pick them up, your hands brush, and boom, the story begins.
I mean, we love that narrative because
Hmm.
it's a visible, tangible event.
Right.
You can point to that exact second on a timeline and say, well, that is the origin point.
But what if the actual preparation for that meeting isn't an event at all? What if it's more like a sudden shift in the barometric pressure?
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, like you can't see it, you can't logically explain it, but you just feel it in your bones. You know a massive change in the weather, or in this case, a person is rolling in.
That invisible shift is such a fascinating space to explore, mostly because it operates entirely under the surface. I mean, it is the absolute definition of an energetic precursor.
Hmm.
The physical meeting is really just the final domino falling. But the setup of all those dominoes takes months, sometimes even years, of these subtle psychological and environmental shifts.
Well, welcome to the deep dive. Today we're pulling insights from an article about Tina Aldea Psychic to decode these invisible shifts. Specifically, we're looking at what Tina Aldea Psychic says about the hidden signs your soulmate is near.
And there are 9 key signs we'll be going through.
Exactly. We want to look past the romantic cliches and really examine the hidden signs, the psychological and energetic weather changes that signal a major connection is approaching you.
Our mission today is to unpack how spiritual traditions and psychic practitioners view this preparation phase, and then bridge that with the actual psychological mechanisms that ready you for love.
Right. But to do that effectively, we have to start by recalibrating how we define the end goal here. Because, let's be honest, the phrase soulmate carries a massive amount of cultural baggage.
Oh, huge. People hear that word and immediately picture absolute perfection.
Someone who completes you flawlessly, finishes your sentences, and, never leaves their socks on the floor.
Which is just a setup for massive disappointment. But the framework we are looking at today defines soulmate energy quite differently.
How so?
It suggests a soulmate is someone whose energy naturally aligns with yours. It's not about the absence of friction or challenges, really. It is the presence of a connection that creates deep familiarity, mutual understanding, and really profound personal growth.
So you are finding a counterpart, not a clone.
Exactly.
A counterpart.
Okay, let's unpack this, because if we are talking about finding a counterpart, the preparation doesn't actually start with scanning the horizon for them.
No, it starts entirely with you, internally. You have to become the person who is capable of holding that connection.
And according to the source, that internal renovation is the very first sign. It's an unexpected period of personal growth.
Yeah, sign number 1. It usually manifests as an almost unprompted period of intense self-focus. And it's not just a casual New Year's resolution to, go to the gym more often.
It's a sudden, deep-seated desire to heal emotional wounds, drop self-sabotaging habits, and set ironclad boundaries.
Honestly, it makes me think about renovating a house.
Oh, that's a great way to look at it.
Right. Like, you don't just go out and buy a bunch of brand new expensive furniture, which in this analogy is the new partner, and drag it into a house with a cracked foundation and toxic mold in the walls.
Yeah, definitely don't do that.
You have to do the ugly, uncomfortable work first. You tear up the floorboards, you fix the plumbing, you haul out the garbage. Setting those boundaries and doing that emotional healing is messy. It completely disrupts your life.
And that house analogy works perfectly because tearing up the floorboards is disruptive. The growth phase is rarely entirely pleasant.
It's hard work.
It is. Life is essentially forcing you to become the version of yourself capable of sustaining a healthy dynamic. If you think about the psychology behind it, when you heal your core wounds, your attachment style often shifts from anxious or avoidant towards secure.
So you literally change the emotional frequency you are broadcasting.
Exactly.
Which fundamentally alters who is attracted to you and who you are attracted to. You basically stop inviting the mold back into the house.
And this leads to one of the most fascinating paradoxes in this entire framework. This is sign number 8 in the source.
Oh, the feel incomplete part.
Yes. Once you finish that internal renovation, a very strange shift happens. You actually stop looking for the person you were preparing for.
You're just happy in the newly renovated house all by yourself.
That is the ultimate irony. People often meet their most significant partner the exact moment they stop desperately searching for them.
Huh.
But psychologically and energetically, it is really the only way it can happen. Because this isn't about cynically giving up on love.
Right, you aren't bitter.
No, it's about reaching a baseline of emotional fulfillment, where your happiness is no longer contingent on another person walking through the door.
It's the shift from a deficit mindset to an abundance mindset. You transition from needing someone to be your whole life to simply wanting someone to share your already complete life with.
Right. Think about the energy of desperation. Desperation is a repellent.
Oh, absolutely.
It creates pressure, it forces interactions, and it makes you willing to accept really poor treatment just to avoid being alone.
So true.
When you reach a state of self-contentment, your confidence stabilizes. You are no longer operating from a place of hunger. That shift in your internal baseline is incredibly magnetic.
Because the relationship can then develop out of mutual resonance rather than out of like a frantic attempt to fill a void.
Exactly.
But getting to that place of peace usually requires some collateral damage, doesn't it?
Right.
Because making room for this new energy often means clearing out what is already occupying your time.
Yeah, it's like the law of physics applied to relationships. Two objects cannot occupy the same space at the same time. You only have a finite amount of cognitive and emotional bandwidth.
Here's where it gets really interesting and, well, often incredibly painful for people. This is sign number 4. You start noticing that old relationships simply start falling away. Friendships that used to feel easy suddenly feel draining. Those vague situationships that you've been clinging to, they just don't align with your future anymore, and they naturally begin to dissolve.
Well, humans are deeply wired for tribal connection, So when any connection begins to fade, our immediate instinct is to grip it tighter.
We naturally resist the loss.
We do.
Yeah.
But from both a spiritual and psychological perspective, you have to create a vacuum. Nature abhors a vacuum. When you deliberately create empty space in your life by letting go of what no longer serves you, the universe, or your newly tuned psychology, rushes to fill it with something that matches your new frequency.
It's like pruning a tree.
Okay, how so?
Well, if you've ever watched an arborist aggressively prune a mature fruit tree, it looks entirely destructive in the moment. Like they are hacking off all these major branches and the tree looks bare, almost ruined.
Right, it looks brutal.
It does. But the arborist knows that it is the absolute only way to redirect the plant's internal energy. If you don't cut away the dead or overgrown wood, the tree can't push nutrients into growing new, healthy branches that will actually bear fruit.
That is a perfect way to visualize it. Redirecting your energetic resources is essential. You are reclaiming the energy you are wasting on dead branches.
And the tool you use to decide which branches to cut is your intuition, right? Which brings us to signs 7 and 9.
Yes, your intuition drastically sharpens during this phase.
You start trusting your gut feelings much more easily. You feel guided towards certain decisions without needing a massive spreadsheet of pros and cons.
And it culminates in this quiet, persistent anticipation.
Yes, it's an excitement without a clear, logical origin. You just know something is coming.
If we look at the mechanics of intuition, it isn't just some mystical, floating concept. Intuition is incredibly rapid subconscious data processing.
Okay, break that down for us.
Sure. Your brain is picking up on millions of micro cues in your environment. Body language, tonal shifts, subtle behavioral patterns that your conscious mind just doesn't have time to analyze.
Right.
So it packages all that complex data and delivers it to you as a physical sensation, a gut feeling.
So when you have that persistent feeling of anticipation, your subconscious has actually already run the math. It's already noticed the barometric pressure dropping before the storm hits.
Exactly. And because your subconscious is processing all this impending change, it often bleeds over into your sleep architecture.
Ah, sign number 5, vivid dreams.
Yes. Dreams become remarkably intense and vivid during these transition periods.
The source mentions people repeatedly dreaming about a mysterious person or seeing unfamiliar faces that somehow feel intimately familiar. You wake up with this profound emotional hangover, feeling deeply connected to someone you've literally never met.
Well, the brain is a predictive engine. It spends the night running simulations based on the emotional state you're moving toward. Whether you view these dreams as literal spiritual premonitions or as your brain's way of psychologically rehearsing for a new level of intimacy, the function is the same. Your mind is preparing your nervous system to recognize and accept this new person when they finally materialize in the waking world.
Which brings us to the moment when the internal work starts bleeding into the external world. Because you've rewired your internal baseline, your external filter, your perception of reality completely changes.
The universe starts dropping breadcrumbs.
Yes. The internal shift demands external validation. This is when the subtle nudges start appearing in your day-to-day routine. We're talking about sign number 6, meaningful coincidences.
Right, synchronicities.
Like you keep hearing the same uncommon name, you bump into the same stranger in 3 different unrelated locations over a week, or you start seeing recurring symbols.
Psychologist Carl Jung's concept of synchronicities is the perfect lens for this. But we need to look at how it applies specifically to this kind of romantic or soul-level alignment. A synchronicity isn't just a random statistical anomaly. It is the collapse of the boundary between your inner psychological state and the external physical world. When your internal readiness reaches a certain pitch, the external world seems to organize itself to reflect that readiness back to you.
And nothing reflects that more visibly than numbers, which is sign number 2. Suddenly, people start seeing repeating sequences everywhere, what are commonly referred to as angel numbers.
Oh, yes.
You look at the microwave, it's 2.22. Your coffee receipt is exactly $3.33. The license plate that cuts you off in traffic has 444.
In spiritual communities, these numerical sequences are interpreted as direct signals of alignment. They function as markers that you are on the right path, that unseen gears are turning in your favor.
Now, I have to push back here for a second because this is where the skeptical brain starts sounding alarms.
Sure, let's hear it.
Are we just talking about textbook confirmation bias? Like, once I decide that the number 222 is spiritually significant, my brain just naturally filters out the thousands of other numbers I see every day and only highlights the 222s.
Right.
Is there an actual energetic mechanism drawing our attention, or are we just tricking ourselves into feeling special?
It is the most logical objection, and we absolutely have to address the biology of it. You were talking about the reticular activating system, or the RAS.
The RAS?
Yeah, it's a bundle of nerves at our brainstem that filters out unnecessary information so we don't just get completely overwhelmed. If you buy a red car, suddenly you see red cars everywhere.
Right.
Your RAS decided red cars are now important data.
Exactly. So the angel numbers are just the red car.
On a biological level, yes.
Yeah.
But let's push beyond just the passive filter and look at the energetic or quantum theory behind this, which the source hints at.
Okay, I'm listening.
In this framework, your shifting energy turns the RAS into an active tuning fork, not just a passive filter. You aren't just selectively noticing a number that happens to be there. Your altered frequency is physically bringing you into the spaces where those numbers exist at the exact moment it matters.
Oh, wow.
It's an intersection of time, space, and your current energetic vibration.
So you're saying the internal shift actually alters your physical navigation through the world?
Think about the downstream effects of trusting those synchronicities. What is the practical function of noticing 222? It forces a moment of profound presence.
That makes sense.
It pulls you out of autopilot, it makes you pause, and it grounds you in the current moment. That heightened state of awareness is precisely what you need to recognize an opportunity when it presents itself.
And speaking of altering your physical navigation, that heightened awareness often leads to sudden geographic nudges, right? Sign number 3.
Drawn to new places.
Exactly. You get an unexplainable urge to break your routine. You decide to visit a cafe across town instead of your usual spot, or you sign up for a pottery class on a Tuesday night for literally no logical reason.
The universe, or your intuition, relies on these mundane, ordinary opportunities. Grand cinematic interventions are actually quite rare.
No dropping books in the hallway.
Usually not. Instead, you get a subtle, illogical urge to take a different route home. You follow that urge, and that minor deviation places you on the exact geographic and temporal coordinates to cross paths with the person who is also following their own breadcrumbs.
It's an incredibly delicate choreography, but if you, the listener, are actually experiencing all of this,
Right.
like if you've done the messy internal renovation, you're seeing the synchronicities, you've pruned the dead branches, and you're having these vivid dreams, well, the pressure starts building.
It does.
The natural human reaction is going to be, okay, what does this person actually look like? I need a face to attach to this feeling.
We crave tangibility. When we are swimming in a sea of abstract energetic shifts and intuitive nudges, the human brain desperately wants an anchor. It just wants something concrete to hold on to.
And that craving for an anchor is what drives a lot of people to the specific method outlined in the source, the work of Tina Aldea Psychic artist. This is really where the psychic and the practical intersect.
It is a totally unique synthesis of modalities. rather than a traditional psychic reading, which, let's face it, often leaves you with vague timelines or ambiguous character traits.
Right.
This approach merges intuitive energy reading with fine art.
She creates personalized soulmate sketches.
Exactly.
The process involves tuning into the specific energetic frequency we've been discussing, that unique vibration of the approaching partner, and translating that energetic essence into a highly detailed physical portrait.
And the underlying purpose of a sketch like this isn't just fortune-telling. It serves a very specific psychological and emotional function during the waiting period. It provides a visual focal point for the journey.
But let me play devil's advocate for a second here.
Go for it.
If someone gets a highly detailed sketch of their future soulmate, isn't there a massive risk that it makes them hyper-focused and obsessive? Like, are they going to walk into a grocery store and just frantically scan the produce aisle looking for a very specific jawline or eye shape and just completely ignore everyone else who doesn't perfectly match the drawing?
Well, that is the risk if the person is still operating from a place of desperation.
Oh.
But remember the prerequisite we talked about earlier. You have to be in that space of inner completeness first. If that foundation is laid, having a visual anchor actually does the exact opposite. It offloads the cognitive burden of wondering.
Wait, how so?
Because when you have no idea what is coming, your amygdala can go into overdrive. Every single interaction becomes a high-stakes guessing game. Like, is the barista my soulmate? Is the guy on the train the one?
Oh, that sounds exhausting.
It is exhausting. Having a physical sketch transforms that vague, frantic anticipation into grounded patience. It essentially tells your brain, look, you don't need to interrogate every stranger you meet. You will recognize the energy when it aligns.
Wow.
It shifts the person from an anxious hunting mindset into a relaxed receiving mindset.
That makes total sense. It calms the internal static. It allows you to put the sketch in a drawer, trust the process, and just go about living your life.
Which is the ultimate goal. The insights explicitly warn against becoming obsessed with sign hunting.
Right. You shouldn't spend your afternoon staring at your phone battery waiting for it to hit 44%.
No, please don't do that. The paradox returns,
Yeah.
right? The harder you grip, the more you choke the process. The focus must always loop back to your own personal growth, your own self-love, and cultivating the life you already have.
Right.
When you maintain that internal alignment, you naturally become a perfect receiver for the subtle hints and synchronicities life presents.
So meeting a genuinely life-changing partner isn't usually the sudden lightning strike we see in the movies. It is the result of a long, quiet season of shifting weather patterns.
Beautifully put.
Whether you are doing the uncomfortable work of healing your boundaries, letting go of draining situationships, or just following a bizarre urge to learn pottery on a Tuesday, these are all indicators that a profound collision is being choreographed behind the scenes.
And regardless of how you, the listener, choose to interpret these phenomena, whether you view them strictly as spiritual guidance, as Jungian synchronicities, or simply as fascinating psychological adaptations, the practical application is identical. Doing the inner work and staying open to life's subtle deviations prepares your nervous system to actually recognize and sustain an extraordinary connection when it finally walks into the room.
It really is all about learning to pay attention, not just to the world around you, but to the shifting baselines within yourself.
It is. And if we take a step back and look at this entire mechanism, it raises a really profound question, something for you to mull over as you go about your week.
Okay.
We've spent this entire deep dive analyzing the signs that your soulmate is approaching you. We've decoded how to recognize the breadcrumbs leading to your own future.
Right. We've given you the tools to spot the weather changing in your own life.
But consider the reverse of the equation. If your energy is shifting, if you are doing the difficult, messy work of growing, healing, and changing your frequency,
Yeah.
does that mean you are currently showing up as a synchronicity in someone else's life right now?
Oh.
Are you the uncommon name they suddenly keep hearing? Are you the unexpectedly familiar face that just showed up in a stranger's vivid dream last night?
That is wild.
Right. Are you the seemingly random encounter at the coffee shop that is about to permanently alter their trajectory? You can be walking around right now completely unaware that you are the exact energetic sign someone else has been desperately waiting for.
I absolutely love that. You aren't just standing there waiting for the shift in the barometric pressure, you are the weather system moving in. That reframes the entire journey.
It really does.
Well, that is a beautiful, slightly mind-bending thought to leave you with today. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep doing the inner work, trust those quiet nudges, and we will catch you next time.